This is TWiT.
All right, I wanted to mention a report coming from, you guessed it, Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, who is talking about the plans for iPadOS coming up. We know now that Apple is, well, it's been reported at least that Apple is set to do quite the overhaul on its various operating systems at WWDC this year, which is now right around the corner. And we have heard that this will be the largest visual update we've seen in a very, very, very long time. Along with that, Gurman reports that Apple is going to make iPadOS even more like macOS than it currently is. He says, quote, "I'm told that this year's upgrade will focus on productivity, multitasking, and app window management with an eye on the device operating more like a Mac. It's been a long time coming, with iPad power users pleading with Apple to make the tablet more powerful." Interestingly, this morning, as I saw the reports of this news, I saw a reply from friend of the show, friend of the network, Renee Ritchie, who said that this, well, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially said this is kind of a mistake. Says that in this case, it seems like Apple is listening to the tech reviewer landscape instead of the people who buy iPads, the people who more likely are the people buying iPads, which is the sort of non-prosumer, but the consumer that just wants this tablet device to be their little gaming system or their little media watcher or whatever it happens to be. And continuing to make the iPad more complicated is a mistake that is born out of sort of a reaction to the critiques of a smaller but louder group. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, Rosemary.
Yes, I have actually just found it because I saw the same thing from Renee earlier. And the exact quote is, giving them the faster horses they keep asking for. And obviously, this is, implying the thing that's often attributed to Henry Ford, which is if we'd asked them what they wanted, they would have asked for faster horses, which he actually never said. But, the point is the customer doesn't know always what they want. And I see this right now, actually, with the iPad, with the Discord app, actually, because I'm often in Discord, checking on the iOS Today forum there, because, we put up a post for every episode, and sometimes people have got questions that they pop in there as well, which is lovely. And I use my iPad with Stage Manager and a Magic Keyboard, which has a trackpad in it. And it's very obvious to me that this is not a combination that ever gets tested with the Discord application, because all of the targets are off. So when you move the trackpad on iOS, it's supposed to sort of snap it to a button if you're like near a button. Okay, so if the button is here and my mouse moves like quite close to it, then it should just sort of snap it and highlight that button. And what happens is something near it that doesn't exist gets snapped and highlighted, and then I'm unable to move the pointer to tap on the thing, and I have to use my finger instead. And I feel like this is a really obvious symptom of the fact that there's now too many different ways to use an iPad, and it's not obvious to the user. And also, I also find, as somebody who owns both an 11-inch iPad Pro and an iPad Mini, the fact that I don't have Stage Manager on the iPad Mini, like, I get it because it's 7.9 inches, but also it's really confusing for me switching between the two. And it's one of these things where it's like, I would love it to be more powerful and for me to be able to do more things that I could do from my Mac on my iPad. But is that what the iPad is for? Like, that is the question. And exactly. Apple are the one that have to try and decide that. Like, are they okay with sabotaging Mac sales by selling iPads? Is that what they're trying to do? Or is the iPad a thing that should exist in its own category, and in their ideal world, there is the space for an Apple Watch, an iPhone, an iPad, a Mac, an Apple TV, and a HomePod in everybody's life, because none of them do the exact same thing the exact same way. And at the end of the day, it is down to user preference. You know, my mum, vast majority of the time, is using an iPad Air with a keyboard, and she loves it. But every so often she pulls out a Mac because that is the better tool for the job, and it works just the way that she's expecting, because there are certain things which are big screen problems versus other things which are little screen problems. Like, I'm happy looking at my bank statement or checking my transactions in the bank app on my phone. That's not something my dad would ever do.
Right.
But the iPad is one of those things where it's in this awkward in-between category where it's a digital photo frame and it's a computer and it can do a lot of things. And every so often it just feels like it can't quite do enough. But the way to solve it not quite being able to do enough, I'm not sure. It's making it more Mac-like. I don't know what it is. Like, maybe allowing us to dual boot it with macOS and iPadOS is the solution, so the nerds can have both. Because let's face it, the hardware in it is more than powerful enough. It is the same hardware as what's in Macs. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see what Apple decide to do, and then we can critique it whether or not it's good enough. And as always, we will provide commentary on whether we're happy with it or not. And somebody will always say, well, they should have done X, because there's always something that they haven't done.
Absolutely. And that's what keeps us doing what we do.
Hey, if you liked that clip, well, there's so much more to get by joining Club TWiT. You can watch all of iOS Today, where we cover all things iOS, tvOS, HomePodOS, watchOS, and so much more. It's all the apps, all the tips and tricks, and everything with Rosemary Orchard and me, Micah Sargent. Join Club TWiT at twit.tv/clubtwit to see all of iOS Today.